Good morning, good afternoon to all the attendees. Sorry for being 2 minutes late. Welcome to the first series of webinar, 20 minutes with AfrAsia. We have attendees from UK, France, South Africa, Mauritius, a few different countries in Africa and around the world. So welcome to all of you and thank you to make it convenient to join us. I'm Thierry Valette, founder, executive and general manager of AfrAsia Bank. If you have any question, please put them into the chat box. We'll take some of them at the end to answer, and we will also have a replay of this webinar available on the social media after. Topic of today, Mauritius, more than just a property investment. We have with us today Notary Gregory Keating, who is well recognized and expert in the real estate sector in Mauritius, as well as Timo Gandel-Ruiz, who is the founder and managing director of Sotheby's Mauritius, one of the leading real estate agencies in Mauritius. To dive directly into the matter, Timo, starting with you, what makes the country an attractive lifestyle and investment destination compared to other emerging markets?
Well, first of all, Terry, thank you for having me on the webinar. It's a pleasure being here, and thank you to all the attendees for watching. I think, first of all, I'll start with the obvious. Mauritius is perfectly situated in the Indian Ocean. It's a great all-year climate, real moderate climate. So it's just a cool place and a nice place to live. In terms of accessibility via air, taking COVID out of the play, we are well situated in terms of connectivity with daily flights to Europe, to Africa, to the Middle East, to Asia, and also to Australasia. So it's just really a well-placed island. In terms of time zones, we are perfectly positioned between the East and the West. We are on the direct same timeline as Dubai. So from a communication perspective with friends and family all around the world, as well as doing business both to the East and the West, Mauritius is perfectly positioned. And then having lived here for 15 years, the general amenities on the island has improved drastically over the last while. There's phenomenal shopping on the island. All your conveniences that you would expect in any first world country are available here. Medical facilities have improved greatly. I can attest to that from personal experience. My second daughter was born here. My wife has had some procedures here, so it's just it's well advanced in that sphere. In terms of education, Mauritius has come on leaps and bounds over the last few years, both from a tertiary and a secondary perspective. There's private education. There are international campuses that have moved onto the island. So, when your kids finish their international secondary schooling, they can choose to continue their tertiary on island, or their qualifications are so well recognized that they can go and study pretty much anywhere in the world. From a fiscal perspective, Mauritius has numerous fiscal advantages. We'll delve into that a little bit later. And then from a property investment perspective, compared to other investment destinations, Mauritius offers the permanent residency. So it's, you can come here, live here with your family, and it's really convenient. It's a totally bilingual island, so both English and French, and as a result, doing business into Africa and into Europe is convenient and easy to set up and do business out of Mauritius. And then just generally from a personal and mental well-being perspective, it's a safe place to live. Mauritius has had independence since 1968. They value their democracy very highly. And so just compared to anywhere in the world, it's a phenomenal place to live, to invest, and to raise a family, I guess.
Thank you. Timo, if you can just speak a little bit louder. I have another question for you, but I have some comments that the sound is not high enough. We all know that Mauritius is a COVID-free country, but as the property prices dropped since the COVID-19?
Terry, it's a little bit difficult to answer that, just because our borders haven't opened yet. So it's hard to see the impact that it's had on the market. Mauritius was at the forefront in terms of dealing with the COVID crisis, and they've done that really well. As of now, Mauritius is COVID-free, bar the odd case that comes in via repatriation flights, but those cases are kept under quarantine and are well controlled. So from a property perspective, I think we'll really see the impact when the border opens again. I do expect the property prices to taper off a little bit. And yeah, there'll definitely be an effect. But with that comes opportunity, and that means there's going to be some really good value and good deals to be had.
Thank you, Timo. Gregory, how safe and reliable is it for global investors to invest in Mauritius?
Well, I'm glad to say that, in fact, Mauritius is a very safe place to invest. The basics, the fundamentals are there. First of all, compared to quite a few other countries, we're talking about freehold properties to be purchased in Mauritius. The legal system is based 95% as to civil law on the French law, which is very protective of the end buyer. And the notary, who is in charge of all the conveyancing for real estate, is in fact governed by the international law of notaries, which is very strict and rigorous. Add to that the fact that Mauritius is signatory of quite a few international treaties which protects and promotes investment by non-citizens, with a result that a result of these treaties is that a person authorized to invest in Mauritius must be treated as a Mauritian himself, which means that compared to other countries, there's no risk of expropriation or things like that. On the day-to-day running of a purchases, we've got quite a few different type of projects available, and most of them are sold on plans, and here too, or off plans rather. And here we are also have a very good system with, on the reservation period of a contract, any deposit made by buyers is made on the escrow account of a notary and not paid to a promoter. Therefore, if a project is not realized, he gets his money back. And if a project goes ahead, the buyer is guaranteed of a completion by a third party, a bank, which provides a guarantee to the effect that if ever the promoter fails to complete, then the bank must step in and provide the funds to complete whatever this amount is. This is an unlimited guarantee. So this is a very strong guarantee in terms of completion. And annexed to that, there is also the obligation for every promoter for sales to foreigners to take insurance cover for a decennial guarantee on structural defects. So basically, when you buy in Mauritius, you've got a freehold property, you can't be expropriated, you are sure it's going to be completed, even it's going to be built off plan, and if ever there are any defects, you've got an insurance to cover that.
Thank you very much, Gregory. But well, we recently had our national budget. Is there any recent measures that could provide further stimulus for the real estate sector?
Well, I must say that as far as foreigners are concerned, we are very much organized already since a few years to greet foreigners with a series of schemes which allows them to purchase in Mauritius. So I would say that this budget is more of a fine-tuning of the offer to foreigners and also to foreign promoters. Basically, we had a few complaints about promoters about the time that it can take to obtain some permit. So on this side, they have provided for a new mechanism, which is a new business obstacle alert mechanism. That is, you've got an authority. If you think that something is taking too much time anywhere along the process, the promoter can go to that authority who will sort it out. You also have new electronic applications for permits, which should also facilitate the matters in that respect. So for promoters, it should be able to start projects earlier with the benefit, obviously, for the buyers too. We'll be waiting for less time before we get going. We have also an inclination to extend the offer to the foreigners. Nowadays in smart cities, you can have now, when it was not possible before, a foreigner buy a plot of land of any size for residential purposes, so it's an extension. We have also reduced the threshold to be able to obtain a resident permit to $375,000 for a purchase when it was $500,000 before, which is a lot of new advantages for buyers and for the Mauritius property sector. We have also, it's not exactly linked to purchase or investment property, but in terms of a foreigner investing in Mauritius, we have facilitated a possibility for them to obtain occupation and permanent resident permit with nowadays lengthier permits obtained and for lesser time of obligations in that respect. We have also, in terms of incentive, if you would like to invest in properties other than residential, exemption in taxes on purchase of warehouses or land to build warehouses, and also on development of new dwellings for Mauritians where you have some exemption of taxes. So very positive, globally speaking.
Thank you very much, Gregory. So with all these good measures, Timo, what property can I buy if I come with $50 million?
Terry, if you come with $50 million, I'm leaving the webinar immediately and coming to see you. But it's, yeah, you know, the beauty of Mauritius, and as Gregory mentioned, there's a relaxation in terms of the qualifying criteria for residency, so that amount has come down from 500 to 375, or it's proposed, and a lot of developers are taking heed of that, and so we anticipate quite a lot of product coming onto the market that's going to cater for that market, to get residency at the 375. You know, that would be more in line of a duplex or an apartment. And then going all the way up, you know, we have product on our books all the way up to $15 million, luxury villas, on golf estates, on beachfront, etc. So, you know, we cater for the full market. We do both rentals and sales on the local and international market. So people and investors coming in who are just looking to rent at the moment and establish themselves in Mauritius, you know, we have the full spectrum of product available. But let me ask you a question, Terry. As a well-established bank in the market, how do you help a potential purchaser, my client, coming in, setting up their business, their finances, home loans, etc.? Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Thank you, Timo, for the question. Well, I've worked with you and Gregory on numerous numbers of clients, as you will know. So we do provide financing for property acquisition for people who want to buy here, and be it for foreigners or locals, of course. And we are able to provide financing in different currencies. Our local currency, of course, but we can also provide loans in USD, euros, pound sterling, etc. So some of the major currencies. Mauritius is not only a property destination, obviously, for investment, and so we do offer a wide spectrum of possibilities. We are, of course, a holiday destination, but we are also a financial center, well-recognized financial center, and we are a good place to be based in, as you said, as I would say, quality of life. But yeah, we want to be a vibrant destination for work, life, and play. So this is what the government is trying to establish. You know, we are globally ranked for more than 10 years within the top 25 countries for ease of doing business. Actually, we are ranked 13th, so progressing nearly every year. We have preferential access to market from Mauritius when we want to access, be it Europe, USA, or African countries, trying to develop new poles of growth regarding the pharmaceutical, data technology park, blue economy. So we are a well-diversified investment destination with good infrastructure, and the government is trying to, I would say, bring in Mauritius some talents and innovators to help us to continue to grow Mauritius. And this is why a few measures have been announced at the budget last month to facilitate this access. Gregory mentioned a few. I must say that, yeah, for, let's say, business investors, they can come and have a resident permit as from $50,000 of investment. The resident permit, occupation permit was 3 years before, has been extended to 10 years. And for those buying properties who have a permanent residency, was valid for 10 years renewable. Now it's directly 20 years renewable. And they don't need any work permit or any investor's permit anymore also. So there's lots of, I would say, good reason that we are adding to our brand new legislation, so that we can face numerous demands to continue to grow. So I hope that answers your question. And without further, sorry, Gregory.
So if I could add something on the quality of life and on the new measures, there have been some introduction of new notions in the budget. We don't have the schemes yet, but we have spoken about yacht promotion scheme, smart and innovative Mauritius, and also another scheme to promote top level sports facilities. So I think this will also contribute in the future coming years to a better quality of life in Mauritius.
Definitely, well added. Thank you, Gregory. Just maybe I'll ask my colleague right here. Do you have some question that we may answer? Okay, questions are coming. Just everyone knows probably if our, I would say, borders are still closed, and we hope that this will open normally by beginning of September, but we don't have the confirmation yet as the world is evolving. Let me take the first question. So foreigners or permanent residents can now buy in smart cities, is that right? If so, who sells there? So yes, foreigners can buy in smart cities and also permanent residents, that's true. I will direct the question to Timo. Who sells there in smart cities?
Who sells there? Is that the question?
Yes.
Well, the smart cities in general are being developed by some of the bigger groups in Mauritius. So, there are a couple which we are involved with that are strategically placed around the island. There's one up in the north in Montchoisy. There's the Mocha Smart City in the middle of the island, which is very well advanced, and they have a number of products available, and then down in the west in Tamarin. So there's smart cities all around the island. They cater for a wide range of product and market, and we sell there. That's what we do. That's our job. We sell there.
So normally, I would say real estate agents sell the different smart cities, and does the group also sell them directly?
They do. Some of the groups have their own sales teams, but work very closely with the bigger agencies, and it's a collaboration, Terry.
Thank you very much. Let me take another question, please. We are just within 20 minutes, but as we start 2 minutes late, we'll take another question. So question is, foreigner can buy any property as long as the minimum investment is met. Gregory, maybe you should, can you answer that? Foreigners can buy any properties as long as the minimum investment is met.
Yes and no, because in fact, in terms of residential building, I believe that the minimum is 6 million rupees for a property. But I understand that the new possibility to purchase plots of land now in smart city to a very small extent would allow them to purchase at a lesser price than 6 million rupees.
Thank you.
If I could just add to that, Terry, just to qualify that as well. A foreigner can't buy anywhere in Mauritius. They have to be within an approved area or scheme. So the smart city, the Grant +2, the PDS, the IRS, or the RES. You can't just walk into any suburb and go and buy a house. So it's very important that they work through registered agents that can guide them through that process.
Sure. And can we say that this is also protection for them?
Absolutely. It's a protection on both sides. You know, it protects the international and the local market. So, you know, within these schemes, there's a level of quality and obligation from the developer to meet. So as Gregory highlighted, you know, our system is very protected to the buyer, and that protects them. And also it protects the local market. You know, if they open up the market completely, it's not an advantage to the local market, as they might be priced out of the market themselves.
Thank you, Timo. Gregory, one question. Are all these advantages does also apply for road rigs?
It could, but I'm not aware of a project which has applied for a license to develop a property in road rigs right now. There were intentions, but I suppose that at first the difficulty to go and have another plane to get there has maybe not convinced the promoters that they should look into road rig. But as far as I know, road rig is part of Mauritius and could be developed the same way.
Thank you. Maybe also for you, the $375,000 to qualify for a resident permit, does that count for two properties to that value or only one property?
No, it's one property to that value. But one point which is important, as far as I understand it, I think we must understand also that this law has not been applied yet. But the way I understand it is that this 375 applies for all the types of project, not as from today, but even from before. Timo, I don't know what you think about it, but the way I read it, that's what I understand. And what's interesting is that somebody who had bought a property at 450,000 5 months ago, you will now be able to apply for a resident permit, as I understand it.
Yep.
Thank you. Maybe a last. Sorry, Timo?
No, that's how I also understand it.
Yes, no, definitely. Let's see how the law comes out. Last question. What are the key advantages, differences of Mauritius versus Guernsey as a jurisdiction for holding of assets? I think we are, okay, I can take the question. We are a financial jurisdiction, just like maybe Guernsey or Singapore or Switzerland, etc. So there's no capital gain tax in Mauritius. There's no inheritance tax in Mauritius. There's a panoply of corporate structures, trust, foundation, protected sales companies, limited companies, limited partnership, so that we can use to be able to structure the wealth and organize the assets of people. And of course, from Mauritius, there's no, I would say, restriction to all assets anywhere in the world. So we'll be more than happy to explain that in details to the people interested with. I think we went 5 minutes above the 20 minutes initially planned. So I think we'll call it a day for now. Thank you very much to the numerous attendees. Thank you very much to Timo and Gregory. And for all the other questions that we have not been able to answer, we'll try to answer them privately to the different people that ask the questions. And we will also post the webinar on the social media. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much to all the attendees. And thank you for all the team making it possible today. Bye.
Thank you for having us.